Hey there. How's it going? That's a nice truck you got there in the driveway. Hey, I've got a deal to propose to you. You'll like this. You see that car over there across the street? That nice sports car? Yeah. How would you like that sports car? I'll tell you what. I will trade you that sports car for that pickup truck that you got in the driveway there. What do you say?
No, I don't think so. I don't really want to sell the truck, for one thing. I kind of need it, and for another thing, that's my neighbor's car. I don't think that you can trade my neighbor's car for my truck. Nah.
Hey kid! Hey kid, yeah, you over there. With the face, you! Come here. Hey, how's it going? I think I saw you here earlier before. Say, I'll bet you'd like a nice new bicycle, wouldn't you? You'd like a nice new bicycle, wouldn't you?
A bicycle?
Yeah, you want a bicycle?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. See that bicycle across the street there? I will trade you that new bicycle for that old beat-up pickup truck you got over there behind you.
My daddy's truck?
Yeah. They don't let you drive that anyway, do they?
No.
So, is it a deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's time to see if we can get to that fiddle.
Well, hello there, good people. Hi, it's Jason with Green Country Agroforestry, and I'm here in the backyard garden about the middle of May. What is it, about May 17th or so. And on the ground behind me, the Anasazi beans that we just started a few days ago, they're coming up. We've got 2 established, and it looks like maybe some of the ones that we germinated using the special technique that I showed you in a previous video. Looks like they may be bursting up out of the ground here pretty soon. We planted them root side down, and we've got a good hope that at least a couple of them are going to go ahead and pop up out of the ground here pretty soon. But that's not what we're here for today. We're here today to take a look at the Cherokee Trail of Tears beans because we've got a single seed challenge that we need to address. Let's have a look. So there are 10 poles with beans planted around them, 10 poles altogether, and every single one of them I planted 3 beans in each spot for a total of 24 beans per pole. And as you can see, looking at these guys, every single pole is like this. Most of them have 1, 2, 3 bean plants established already. And I'm just going to come in here with some scissors and clip these guys off right there at the ground level. So I just have 1. So we're thinning down to 1 for all of these. And we're going to pull some weeds while we're at it. While that's going on, let's go take a look at the place where I just planted 1 single bean. And that is right over here. There's that dowel rod that marks the place where the 1 single bean was planted, and there it is, it's come up. There's my single seed challenge bean. Well, people are naming these guys. Should name this guy. Let's give him a good name. Alright, so no, you're not here just to look at a bean popping up out of the ground. Woohoo, it's exciting. Yeah, it's a bean. And it's growing, and that's good. Pretty soon it'll be up high enough that it can wrap around that piece of twine and grow all the way up to the top of the pole. But of course we were talking about the Indian Removal Act of 1830 and some of the history of that time period. So I figured we'd pick up where we left off. Now, we already talked about some of the details of the Indian Removal Act, the fact that you had to establish a treaty with the tribe to exchange their lands to the east of the Mississippi in exchange for lands to the west of the Mississippi. Okay, we've got that part. I'm going to back up even a little bit further. This is 1828 now. And in 1828, something amazing happened. something that hadn't happened in years, something that the King of England would have been very happy to have happened back whenever the colonies belonged to him. And that is, gold was found in Georgia. Now, if you know anything at all about panning for gold and placer mining, you know that you can go to pretty much any creek or river or anywhere in the world and with enough time and effort find some gold everywhere. It's everywhere. Not necessarily a lot of it is everywhere, but it is everywhere. And somebody found some in Georgia, and everybody was getting all excited because they'd found gold in Georgia. So in 1828, the government of the great state of Georgia decided that they needed to figure out the way to get their hands on some land so they could prospect for gold, or sell the license to prospect the gold to prospectors, put some of that money in their own pockets. So they passed some laws in 1828 regarding the status of the Cherokee Nation, which the bulk of the Cherokee Nation at the time was in the state of Georgia. These laws were intended to strip the Cherokee Nation of its rights, not only as individual citizens, but as a nation. The state of Georgia made the argument that the Cherokee Nation wasn't really a nation at all. They were just a group of people that happened to be living in the state of Georgia, and therefore the state of Georgia had the right to pass laws regarding them. Well, at the urging of Daniel Webster and a few other prominent jurists from Washington, the Cherokee Nation sent delegations in an attempt to stop or establish an injunction against the state of Georgia regarding these new laws that Georgia had just passed. It took a while to get through the appeals process, and we didn't see a case appear before the Supreme Court until 1831. That case was Cherokee Nation versus Georgia. Okay. So, keep in mind, the state of Georgia wanted to prove that the Cherokee Nation was not a sovereign nation, and therefore the state of Georgia had the right to pass laws regarding this group of people that just happened to be living in Georgia. Whenever Cherokee Nation versus Georgia came up before the Supreme Court refused to hear the case. And the reason that they cited was that as a sovereign nation, the Cherokee Nation fell outside of the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So in a way, they took the Cherokee Nation's side just without making a ruling on the merits of the case itself. So the law stood. And in 1830, of course, Andrew Jackson had been elected. He had been pushing very heavily for Indian removal. This bill was now passed. Things were not looking good. But the Cherokee Nation had one more shot at this, and that came up in 1832. And oddly enough, it wasn't the Cherokee Nation that brought this particular attempt to stop Georgia's laws regarding the national sovereignty of the Cherokee Nation. It was actually a Christian mercenary who was living with the Cherokee Nation in Georgia. Part of the laws that the state of Georgia passed included a bit that required that if you were not a member of the Cherokee Nation and you wanted to live on Cherokee lands, you had to receive a permit or a license from the state of Georgia. Well, this particular missionary, his name was Worcester. I want to say Samuel, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. His last name was Worcester. Mr. Worcester didn't get the license from the state of Georgia to go live amongst the Cherokee in Georgia. Why would you? It's just silly. Well, he was arrested for not having a license, and they appealed his case up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court actually did hear Mr. Worcester's case because he was an American citizen, not a member of a foreign nation like the Cherokee Nation was. It's kind of mixed there because they ultimately decided that the Cherokee Nation wasn't a foreign nation because they were a nation on the continental United States. It just happened to be surrounded by the United States, and so they had a different sort of status. But they did hear the case, and it was decided that yes, indeed, the state of Georgia did not have the authority to make laws regarding another government entity, in this case, the Cherokee Nation, which was a nation inside the boundaries of Georgia. So that was good. But ultimately, it didn't seem to matter much anyway, because there was something else coming up on the horizon. very shortly that would change everything. I'm talking, of course, about the Treaty of New Echota. This occurred in New Echota, Georgia, in 1835. What happened is this. Representatives from the government in Washington, D.C. came down to Georgia looking for a deal. There might be a Charlie Daniels song in that somewhere. Well, they met with some representatives of a small band of Cherokee in New Echota. Now, this small band were not authorized in any way, shape, or form to make any sort of negotiations for the Cherokee Nation as a whole. As a matter of fact, the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation, Mr. Ross, had no idea that this meeting was taking place at the time that it took place. So, imagine everyone's surprise whenever they woke up one morning to discover the news being announced that a treaty had been signed between the Cherokee Nation and the United States government, agreeing to cede the lands to the east of the Mississippi in exchange for lands to the west of the Mississippi. How did this happen? Well, if I was looking for an analogy, it would be something like this. Some guy comes down the street and sees that you have a nice pickup truck parked in your driveway. And he says to you, "Hey, how do you feel about selling that pickup truck you've got there?" And you go, "No, yeah, I don't really want to sell my pickup truck. I'm kind of using it. I need it." And the fellow from out of town or from somewhere else, he turns around and he goes away. But he comes back later on that day, and he comes back and he finds your little 6-year-old boy sitting on the front porch, and he says, "Hey, little boy, how you doing today? That's a really nice looking pickup truck that's in the driveway there. How would you like to exchange that pickup truck that you can't drive for that bicycle over there across the street? See that bicycle over there across the street? You can have that bicycle." "Yeah. What do you think, little boy? Would you like that bicycle?" And the little boy says, "Hey, yeah, I'd like a bicycle." So he makes the deal, and the stranger drives away with your pickup truck. And, of course, the little boy, and now you are stuck with the bicycle from across the street that belonged to somebody else entirely. One would think that the Treaty of New Echota would not stand, that the fact that the people that were signatories to the treaty had no authority to make a treaty at all. But Martin Van Buren became elected president in 1837, and in 1838 he sent troops to enforce that Treaty of New Echota. And sadly enough, as the Cherokee were being rounded up and marched to stockades with the clothes on their back and not much else, all the people in the surrounding territory, we're talking about the American citizens who were not tribal, ordinary people, the white folks, if you like, watched. And they knew that they were watching something wrong happening. They knew it. The soldiers that were involved in the rounding up and the marching, they knew that they were doing something wrong. They knew it. Everyone knew that this was not something that should be happening. But no one stood up. No one said anything. And the Cherokee Nation embarked upon the Trail of Tears between 1838 and 1839, and nearly half of them died along the way. Now, in our next episode, we'll discuss some of the events that occurred long before the Indian Removal Act, somewhere around the U.S. Revolutionary War, that may have influenced the mindset of those people that stood and watched and did nothing and said nothing as this was going on. Well, that's all I have for you today, good people. As always, if you found the video informative or entertaining, please hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Subscribe to this channel, share this video, bang the notification bell, and good people, I will catch you next time.